All right, so the Lions coaching staff is finalized for 2026, and you wanted changes with the strength and conditioning coaches, and you've got them.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is happening, everybody? We got a brand new week of Locked On Lions right here in the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast network. Matt Dery with you on a Monday, February the 23rd into Tuesday, February 24th. Thanks for making us your first listen and checking us out wherever you get your podcasts. Shout out to our everydayers. We appreciate all of our everyday listeners for being with us daily here on Locked On Lions. We are brought to you today by our friends at FanDuel. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for a chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals player game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. We normally do mock draft Monday on Monday. Today is Monday. Usually is mock draft Monday. I'm going to move that to tomorrow because I've got a special guest tomorrow in Nick Shook, who's going to join us from NFL.com and the NFL Network. Nick is heading to Indianapolis for the draft combine, or I should say for the scouting combine, which takes place tomorrow through the weekend. I want to do mock draft Monday tomorrow. We will also recap what Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes said tomorrow, as the Lions general manager and head coach will speak on Tuesday. We got a call of the day today. If you want to be a call of the day, we haven't had a lot of calls of the day. Send them in at speakpipe.com/Dery, Dery podcast page. NFL top 100 free agent. It's actually a top 101 list at NFL.com by Gregg Rosenthal, excellent NFL writer. He does this every year. And there's a Lion not on the list, which is wild to me. We will explain about that coming up momentarily. Ben Johnson had some really nice things to say about the new Lions offensive coordinator, Drew Petzing. We will get to that momentarily. But let's start with this. The Lions coaching staff was announced today for 2026 by the organization. And I want to start with a random situation here when we talk about the coaching staff. And that is what took place the last 2 years angered a lot of Lions fans to the point where many of you, not some of you, many of you were asking me on social media or leaving voicemails on SpeakPipe or hitting us up on the YouTube page, or if you're in part of the Locked On Lions Everydayer Club, our Discord server, Lions got to make a change with the training staff. Lions got to make a change with the strength and conditioning coaches. What is going on with the training staff? Well, long time director of sports performance, Mike Clark, is retiring. Clark has been with the team since 2021. He was the strength coach at Texas A&M when Dan Campbell played there many years ago. Had been coaching at the high school level back in the 70s. He was named the NFL's Strength Coach of the Year 3 different times and is actually in the 2003 USA Weightlifting Hall of Fame. That courtesy of Justin Rogers from Detroit Football Network. But Mike Clark, who's been the team's director of sports performance the last few years, is gone. I have no idea if they sent him to retirement. I don't know if this was his call. It probably was. But the Lions did not make a ton of moves in the strength and conditioning department or the training staff. Josh Schuler is now the head of strength and conditioning, although he kind of had been already, followed by Jill Costanza, still there, no relation to George, assistant strength and conditioning coach, director of sports science, Cam Jossie, assistant strength and conditioning, Thaddeus Jackson, assistant strength and conditioning, Jesse Giambra, chief of staff, head coach administration. All of them are under that umbrella. I'm a little bit surprised that there weren't more moves made in the training staff or strength and conditioning department. But Mike Clark, who had been there since 2021, has now retired. Lions did make it official today with some of their official announcements of their coaches, and that includes some changes on the offensive staff. We now know what Mike Kafka's role will be, the former Giants interim head coach and offensive coordinator. He is taking over David Shaw's duties as passing game coordinator. Shaw has been moved to pass game specialist, but he is still on the staff. Bruce Gradkowski, who we've talked about a lot, is now the assistant wide receivers coach. Of course, Drew Petzing was the big move this offseason, coming over from Arizona to be the offensive coordinator after, of course, the Cardinals fired their head coach, Jonathan Gannon. Scotty Montgomery's title changes a little bit. He's still the wide receivers coach, but instead of being assistant head coach, he is now associate head coach. Jim O'Neill, safeties coach, now gets a title of assistant head coach. Something, of course, that Hank Fraley has, as well as run game coordinator and offensive line. Steve Oliver, we know, is the new tight ends coach. Dan Skipper, big Skip, man, legend. Dan Skipper, number 70 reporting, is now an offensive assistant. Other than that, the staff remains intact. Dan Campbell, Drew Petzing, Kelvin Sheppard, D coordinator, Dave Phipps, special teams coordinator. And as the team does retain Jet Modkins as their assistant special teams coach as of today. You know, everything that took place last year, there was a lot of finger pointing by the fans. Again, and I don't blame you. When you go 9-8, you don't make the playoffs. You're off a 15-win season and you win 6 less games. You knew there were going to be some changes made. And the big change, of course, was John Morton, who, by the way, is heading to Denver for his old job as passing game coordinator in Denver under Sean Payton. But that was the biggest move that had to be made. All right. And you look at this staff now and you see all the same names: Mark Brunell, Tashard Choice, David Correo, Hank Fraley, Gradkowski, Sean Dion Hamilton. Pretty much all the same names. I don't need to really go down the entire list of coaches. Deshae Townsend will remain the defensive backs coach, all of that stuff. Look, Mike Clark retiring, I'm not going to do 10 minutes on. But I will say that this year there's a lot of pressure on these coaches to get these players to be put in the proper position. Because last year, players failed, front office failed, coaches failed. It was an across-the-board failure by this franchise. And what I liked after the season was that everybody agreed. There was nobody that said, well, all these injuries and Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch and, man, the injuries. And that was a part of it, right? You can't take out the fact that for the last 2 years, the defense has been decimated, more so 2 years ago than anything else. But to go from 15 wins to 9, to have this tough schedule, to not respond, to have some games where this team looked like they were ill-prepared to play, cannot happen again this season. It just can't. There's too much talent here. The Lions have a good team. And I think the Drew Petzing hire, as we'll mention with Ben Johnson in a second in his comments over the weekend, I think is an upgrade. All right. The Lions did not have stability offensively last year in the play calling department. Defensively, this team has to get better. All right. Kelvin Sheppard is under pressure because this past year started off good. Things look good. The players like him. The players respond to him. But schematically and how the team performed and how they could not stop the run in games late in the year that they had to have, like Pittsburgh, like Minnesota, was unacceptable. So that's where I'm at with this. The team announcing the coaching staff today ahead of tomorrow's media opportunities in Indianapolis when both Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes will meet with the media. I know Tim Twentyman at DetroitLions.com had an interview with Mike Kafka, and we'll talk a little bit more about that tomorrow or maybe even Wednesday. All right. A lot to do this week, especially with the combine. Again, Nick Shook from NFL.com and the NFL Network, who will be in Indianapolis on Wednesday, will join us tomorrow before he leaves. All right. Coming up next, some very nice comments from his buddy, Ben Johnson. Yes, Ben Johnson. Remember, he and Drew Petzing, buddies. And Ben Johnson, now, of course, the head coach of the Hammond Bears, had some very nice things to say about the Lions' new addition of offensive coordinator. We'll talk about that coming up next here on a Monday edition of Locked On Lions. All right, Locked On Lions today brought to you by TurboTax. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax Full Service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert start to finish without the stress or guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online. They handle everything from W-2s to self-employed forms and work to get you every deduction. You can upload your documents, go about your day, and get updates right in the TurboTax app. It's a huge time saver and gives real peace of mind knowing that an expert is handling it. And that's what you want, right? For limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150, all in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit turbotax.com/local to book your appointment today. All right, welcome back to Locked On Lions on this Monday edition of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network. Don't forget our Locked On Lions Everydayer Club. Come on, folks. If you want to join in, please do. You'll get a free, ad-free show. All right, that's what I meant to say. An ad-free show on either Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Also, join the Everydayer Club so you can be on our Discord server. Yes, chats. We're talking Lions every single day. I'm a part of it. Please join us at lockedonlions.supercast.com, lockedonlions.supercast.com. Please join us on our Everydayer Club. All right, Benedict spoke to Dave Burkett of the Free Press as Berkey got a little interview with Ben Johnson to ask him about the Drew Petzing hire in Detroit. Again, Petzing and Johnson are very close. Their paths crossed at Boston College. Petzing was in Johnson's wedding. All of these things are true statements. But, you know, this year was a weird year for Ben Johnson against the Lions because, number one, the Lions beat him twice. And number two, Ben did a heel turn. All right. We know about his relationship with the Packers, Matt LaFleur, the handshakes and everything else. But Ben Johnson didn't exactly spend a lot of time this year either saying glowing things about the Lions and rave about his time. He was so focused this year on the Bears. Took a little dig at Jared Goff last offseason, everything else. All right. Dave got him to talk last weekend in regards to Drew Petzing, and it was all very, very positive. All right. Listen to Ben Johnson talk about Petzing. This from the Free Press. Quote, I think he's going to blow those players away just from a knowledge standpoint, from a connection standpoint. I fully expect that offense to be clicking at a high level next year. It wouldn't surprise me one bit. I think there's a reason why Dan, from what I could gather, cast a wide net for the offensive coordinator job, and Drew hit the right notes in terms of what he was looking for. That doesn't surprise me. I could see this being a great fit, knowing Dan and knowing Drew both. I think it's probably a match made in heaven. End quote. Look, we all had our doubts. We all had our doubts at the beginning of this process. We all said, you know what? Are the Lions going to play buddy ball again? Are the Lions going to make a splash? Are they going to go out and find the best candidate? And the Lions interviewed 8 or 9 guys, which I loved. They ran the gamut from Mike McDaniel to T. Martin to that no-named passing game coordinator in Seattle, who I don't even remember his name anymore. All right. All sorts of different angles and options. And then out of nowhere, we wake up one day, we were checking out our social media and the old Twitter sphere, and boom, Drew Petzing's the guy. And we're like, wait, who? Was he even interviewed? Of course he was interviewed. The Lions kept that so quiet. And Petzing, of course, had come from an Arizona team that failed under Jonathan Gannon. Wasn't a good team. The last couple of years got ugly. But you start to realize when Petzing had something to work with, a healthy Kyler Murray, a healthy James Conner, a healthy Trey McBride, healthy offensive linemen, the Cardinals offense wasn't too bad. And now you have the endorsement of the guy that is well known in Detroit as the best offensive coordinator the Lions have ever had. Tell me when the Lions offense was ever this good for a 3-year stretch from 2020 2023 to 2025. Plus, he was named Offensive Coordinator of the Year, Assistant Coach of the Year. And Ben Johnson went to Chicago in the blink of an eye after the 24 season was finito. And now he's saying, match made in heaven. That's pretty high praise from Ben Johnson. After all the crap talking and all the bleep talking that Ben Johnson's been doing the last 12 months, he has. He's done a heel turn. Everything's a dig and a needle and everything. This time, maybe Dave Burkett got him on a good day. I don't know. But Ben Johnson said nothing but great things about Petzing there and knows the fit with Dan Campbell. And Dan Campbell knows too. Last year's process and hire and the John Morton thing and then stripping him of his play calling duties was all a disaster. It was bad. Lions offense didn't suck by any stretch of the imagination, but it wasn't the same. And it wasn't the identity of that team and we'll outscore you, we'll pound you on the ground was gone. Last year's offense was a lot more steak than sizzle. Or excuse me, a lot more sizzle than steak. Really. God, I butchered that line. So, Ben Johnson signing off on Petzing is pretty cool. I like that. I like hearing that a lot. And again, those two, I get it, have a very, very good relationship. Been friends since 2010, going back to Boston College and Petzing, a groomsman in Johnson's wedding and all of that. All right. I saw this list today and was a little bit surprised. If you recall, ESPN.com put out their top 50 available free agents for March 9th, unrestricted free agents. And Gaines Media's own, the poster boy, Alex Anzalone of the Lions, was the only line on that list at number 50. Top 50. The linebacker, of course, is looking for a multi-year deal and most likely will not be back with your Honolulu Blue and Silver Gladiators. With that being said, NFL.com today, Gregg Rosenthal puts out his top 101 NFL free agents. He does this list every single year. Gregg with 2 G's, Rosenthal. And he says his list is based on whom I'd want to sign. Position scarcity, age, and market value all are taken into account. It's not a prediction of who's going to get the most money. Number one on his list, before I get to the Lions and everything else, number one on this list, and by the way, Alex Anzalone is not on the list. Top 50 ESPN, not even top 101 on NFL.com. I'll get to that in a minute. Number one on this list is Malik Willis, the quarterback from Green Bay. I'm sorry. Malik Willis is going to go somewhere and get paid. Okay, I get that. But number one, I see him as the most dynamic quarterback in football as the runner. He started 6 games in 4 years, people. He looked good as a backup. I'm sorry. He looked good as a backup in Green Bay. The ceiling is the roof. This guy's about to play on his 4th team? Okay, guess so. Number one, he has started 6 games in 4 years. He's played well when he's come in, but wowzers. You're putting Malik Willis ahead of George Pickens, who came in at number 2. Trey Hendrickson, who on this list is number 6. Tyler Linderbaum, who's number 4. His top 6, Willis, Pickens, Jalen Phillips, Linderbaum, Alec Pierce, the wideout from the Colts. He's going to get a lot of money. And Trey Hendrickson. Now, Lions on this list. You got to scroll. You got to scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll till you find the first Detroit Lion on this list, and that is none other than DJ Reader, who comes in at number 61. Rosenthal writes, run-stuffing nose tackles used to stick around the league forever. So here's to Reader occupying blockers like Ted Washington and Pat Williams once did until he's 40. I don't know about that, but DJ Reader at 32 comes in at number 61 on this list. 1 spot ahead of Aaron Rodgers. Also on this list from your Honolulu Blue and Silver is Al-Qadim Muhammad at number 84 on the list. The well-traveled edge player emerged as a top 12 sack artist out of nowhere at age 30 for Detroit. And again, as I was scrolling, I mean, Trayvon Diggs is number 92. He was cut by the Packers like 2 weeks ago. Jadeveon Clowney at age 33 was number 101 on this list. No Anzalone. It's almost like Gregg Rosenthal forgot about the Gaines media poster boy. The flowing locks, the blonde bombshell. Gregg, come on. Gregg, you forgot. Alex Anzalone is a top 100 free agent. He's a good football player. Someone's going to get Alex Anzalone and they're going to be happy about it. I don't think the Lions are going to pay him. I think he's gone. But NFL.com, Gregg, someone tell Gregg Rosenthal he messed up. Alex Anzalone was top 50 ESPN and didn't even make this list. Trayvon Diggs, nobody wants. Made that list. I mean, come on now. Cameron Jordan is 110 years old. He's on the list. Alex Anzalone should be on it. Calais Campbell's on the list. That was a mess up by NFL.com and Gregg Rosenthal. Unless he just thinks Alex stinks. I don't know. All right. Call of the day time. If you want to be our call of the day, leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/Dery, DERY podcast page. We will play it for you next. All right, we got a big game tonight, baby. Oh, yeah, big game. Pistons Spurs of the LCA. You want to get in on some NBA action? You could do so on FanDuel. If you ever wanted to experience NBA Finals live and in person, FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for two. That's right. Flights, tickets, the whole experience. If you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock in. I love futures this time of year, whether it's picking a team to win the championship or grabbing a conference title. Pistons. It adds that extra layer of excitement every game down the stretch. Not only can you pick your cash, but it can also be sent to you. We can also send you to the finals. This is awesome. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. By the way, speaking of the NBA Finals, the last time I attended the NBA Finals was 2005 when I was working for WDFN and the Pistons, obviously on their radio network, doing the pre-half and post-game. It just reminds me of a great story. Speaking of the Pistons playing the Spurs tonight, I'll never forget it. They send me down to San Antonio, the radio station and the team. And I'm staying at the Best Western in downtown San Antonio. Everybody else at the Marriott. Nope, not DFN. They send me and Stoney and make us room together at the Best Western in San Antonio. Stoney is hocking up a lung here. He's coughing. He's got a cold. I'm rooming with a guy that's sick. So the Pistons had won the championship the year before. They're up 3-2, as we know, heading into game 6 in San Antonio, and they lose. The Pistons were down 3-2 after the Robert Horry game 5 shot where Rasheed fell asleep. Pistons win game 6 to force a game 7, meaning I have to stay in San Antonio for an extra 2 days. So I'm doing the post-game show courtside at the arena in San Antonio. It's like me and the engineer and like the cleaning crew, and that's it. But the players had to go from their tunnel onto the court and through the arena to get to the opposite tunnel to leave. So all the players are leaving. And at one point, I go to a commercial break during the post-game show, and Chauncey Billups is rolling his bag onto the court and across. And he looks at me, and I look at him. I'm like, hey. I'm like, thanks a lot, buddy, for winning tonight. He's like, why? And I go, now I got 2 more days in San Antonio rooming with Stoney. And Chauncey just laughed. He's like, if I would have known that before the game, we would have won by a lot more. He laughed at me. How dare that man? Anyway, that's my story for today. All right, time now for call of the day. That is where you leave us a voicemail. We play it right here on this very show. Our call of the day today is a voice that I remember and know, but he didn't leave his name on the call nor did he leave it on our voice message. It says anonymous. So one of our everydayers, Mr. Anonymous, left this voicemail today. Let's take a listen.
Hey, Matt, just an idea before the combine, since I was listening and it sounds like you're looking for content. I would love to get an objective look of who do you think the Lions are higher on than the market, right? They love their homegrown talent, whatever. I'm just kind of curious, if you've got 3 players or 4 players or 5 players that are objectively, the Lions love this guy way more than any other team, and maybe your Pete Pikowski or whatever would think Detroit's insane for valuing this guy so high. Who do our haters think that we're going crazy on? Just an idea.
All right, Mr. Anonymous, thank you for that phone call. That's a great question. Here's the thing, and this is the first time I can remember this in a while. Any people that I've talked to with the Lions heading into this draft, I usually get a text message or two, or I talk to some people and they say, look, the Lions are interested in this, or they're interested in that, or it's best available player. I get a lot of that, but I also get a lot of keep an eye on a certain pocket of players. A guy like Tate Ratledge last year, I'm not going to tell you that I knew the Lions were going to take him, but there were some rumblings. The Lions just loved how nasty he was as an offensive lineman, and coming from the SEC in Georgia, that was a fit. I can tell you right now, I have not heard any rumblings about anything. My guess is that on Monday of next week, I will have more of an idea and a clue about who fits the Lions. Isaac Tesla was a guy that they kept under the radar, but obviously fit the Lions because of the way he blocked at the Senior Bowl, how he showed up in Allen Park down at 222 unnamed drive in his old uniform or Lions jersey that he had as a kid. That fit. Right now, I don't have a clue what the Lions are going to do at 17. I don't know who they love from the Senior Bowl. I didn't get really a sense of any of that yet from anybody that I talked to. But I think as time goes on here, we will get some names by Monday of players that maybe interviewed well with the Lions or just fit what Detroit is doing. I think they could go in a lot of different directions at number 17, but we need March 9th, 10th, and 11th to happen to see what the team's going to do in free agency first. Daniel Jeremiah pointing out from the NFL Network the other day that the Lions are doing their due diligence on free agent offensive linemen. Does that mean Decker's gone? Are they talking about free agent centers? Is it free agent tackles? What is it? We're going to know more about the draft, but not until after free agency. All right, Nick Shook is going to join us from NFL.com, the NFL Network, tomorrow. Thanks, everybody, for making us your first listen and checking us out wherever you get your podcast. Don't forget Locked On Lions on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Get us there as well.